Welcome back, happy fabricators. In this video I'm going to show you what you can do to make your $25 cast iron pan perform like a $200 cast iron pan. Okay, so what is the difference between a very nice cast iron pan and a more budget-friendly cast iron pan? Usually the initial difference that's most obvious is the level of finish on the casting. So a cheaper cast iron pan, you're going to have a really rough finish, and a nicer pan is going to be super smooth and just going to have less things stick to it. So what causes that? Is it a better quality casting overall? Is it just the use over the years? A lot of these older pans have had more scrapers through them, and over the years just use is going to smooth them out. But I'm going to show you what we can do to smooth this out on our own. Now, as you can see, these are both Lodge brand pans. This is one that I have not touched yet. We've used it, but it is still factory rough and kind of cruddy the way a general cast iron pan is. This is the one that I've already done what we're going to do today, and it is nice, smooth, polished. It's got a beautiful patina on it, and it performs amazing. So let's get started. So what we're going to need, you're going to need a grinder. I like the 4.5 inch grinder. I have a cordless one, but it could be corded. You're definitely going to need probably a 40 grit flap disc, 60 grit flap disc, and then I really like these kind of buffing, polishing, conditioning wheels. I believe this one is like 120 and this one is like 220. So it's got integrated sandpaper and Scotch-Brite in it, which is going to really help us polish out those pores and smooth this surface out. Other thing you're going to want is a respirator and some sort of dust mask, some safety glasses, and some ear protection. Now I'm going to stick an apron on just to give me a little more protection and cover up my clothes while I work. Now I realize this isn't the more traditional fabrication video that I normally do, but when the wife needs a honeydew project, my philosophy is make every honeydew project into a fabrication project. Now, a little instruction when you get into the grinding. I would start with the 40 grit because it's going to take the most material off in the beginning. Because we got a rough surface, we want to knock that down and get those pores down lower. Something to consider is when you look at your flap disc, it has a slight bevel to it here, and we don't want to gouge out the pan and make it so that we have to grind down even deeper. We want to try to keep our grinding as flat as possible. So in considering that, make sure that your grinder is at the proper angle. So you'll see kind of a bevel that is integrated into these flap discs like this. So we're going to come in here and try to keep that bevel flat as best as we can, so as we're grinding, our whole surface is going to be kind of flat and congruent. And try to do somewhat even patterns all the way around, so you're taking off the same amount of material and it's as even as possible. You're going to get down to a smoother finish faster. Let's get to work. Now, if you stick around a little bit later in the video, we will show you our unconventional method of seasoning a cast iron pan that we have found just puts it over the top with performance and looks.
One hour later.
Okay, so I'm getting pretty far with the 40 grit here. Before you switch to 60, you want it to get kind of to this point. See over here, you can kind of see there's more pores and stuff. We want to try to get to more of a swirly finish and get the majority of that large pores taken out and polished down. Now, if you're wondering, this is definitely not a clean job. Look at all that. Take a quick little break and get some fresh air. I'll just say these flap disc things are definitely where it's at. So the 60 grit flap disc honestly didn't make that much difference. You could probably go and just go from the 40 grit flap disc straight to these 120 grit conditioning disc and then polish it off at the end with the 220 grit. But like I said, this thing is a dirty job. I'm gonna get you up close here. I'm gonna show you, there's a couple pores in here, and at this point you kind of got to make the decision if you're just going to polish it out or if you're gonna break out that 40 grit again and go get a little bit deeper to be able to get the depth and get these pores completely out. So let's take a closer look at this real quick. So you can see this is looking nice and smooth, and we're not even to the final disc. We're just on the green 120 here. We're gonna move up and completely polish it out with the red. But let's get in a little closer. And I don't know if you can see, but there's a couple spots in here, like there's a little pore right there at the end of my finger. You can see one there. Those are just deeper spots or imperfections in the casting. But to be able to get those out, you have to be able to take the entire layer down a notch. Because whenever you're polishing out something out like this, the entire layer has to go down the depth of the lowest pore if you want to go that in depth. So I don't know if I'm going to go that deep because these two right here look really deep. I think I'm going to take it just a little bit further and make them just slightly shallower, but I think I'm going to compromise just a little bit there. We shall see. Let's get back at it. Man, that's getting smooth.
Two hours later.
Okay. Ugh. That is a messy job. I'm all dirty. Okay, so we got this thing ground down really smooth here. There's a couple pores in here still, but I think I'm gonna end up leaving them. I'm about probably 40 minutes into this thing. It would probably take me another 40 minutes to dive down through these, and just for these 2 or 3 little pores. Next thing we're gonna do is season it up. Okay, so this is the final result after we got this pan all buffed down and seasoned. This is just with one season on it. We'll do probably a couple more just to get a good layer on there. But I bet you're wondering what that secret method is that me and my wife have found that works really well, that just kind of puts the seasoning of the pan over the top. And that is, you're gonna wanna season it and clean it just like you normally would, but instead of putting it on the stove or in the oven, the best thing that we've found to season the pan really well is put it in the pellet stove. And that smoke from the pellets, or I mean, maybe even the campfire work, I haven't tried that, but a pellet stove like a Traeger or Pit Boss or any sort of stove like that, cranked up to like 400 degrees, has just put the most beautiful seasoning in these pans. After we've run them through the pellet smoker, makes these budget pans just absolutely beautiful and function extremely well. So let's go see how this thing performs. Now, I will leave links down in the description below for all the discs that I use. In the end, I would say I would get the 40, the 120 conditioning disc, and the 220 conditioning disc. And these two come in a package together. You have to buy this one individually, but unfortunately, most of the time you can't buy an individual disc. You might be able to go to the hardware store and buy an individual one of these, and then buy these in a package online. Otherwise, you might have to buy like a package of 5 or 6 of these. But I'll leave some links down in the description below to some decent deals on these conditioning discs, and hope you enjoy doing your honeydews and making the eggs not stick anymore. Now at this point, if you noticed my fabrication table saw welding table, make sure to go check out that series below. I did a whole series on how to make a DIY welding fabrication table based off of a Craftsman table saw. It's super budget friendly, super flat and accurate, and super useful to use for a welding table. Now if you want to see more fabrication content, click some of the links that are going to pop up here. I normally do welding instruction videos and build some cool stuff. And if you want to be notified of upcoming videos, hit that subscribe button and go build something, guys. Man, I got real dirty there.